So my opinion of Arknights Enfield has gone through a spectrum. I called them Fart Nights Enfield back when they denied me for the first beta, but recently I've considered covering it on the channel. By now, I've played enough of the game to have a solid opinion on it, and that's what I'll talk about in this video. I'm Shrike, like, comment, and subscribe for more gacha content. Let's dive in. So the following will only be my subjective opinion, based on the kind of games I enjoy. Very few of these will be undeniable concrete facts. And let's just start with one of those. The gacha system. Yeah, starting off strong with the worst part of the game. The gacha system in Arknights Enfield has no reason to be as needlessly complex as it is. I mean, I get it now, after seeing 3 flowcharts and watching 10 different YouTubers dumb it down for me. But it shouldn't be that complicated. Whether it's fair or not, free-to-play friendly or not, that's a different story. But what's not up for debate is that it's complicated, and not in a good way. Let's pivot to something positive though. The combat. I actually really enjoy the combat. It's pretty easy to master, it feels impactful, the controls are intuitive, it's just a good experience. And speaking of good experiences, this has been one of the very few games wherein I've actually enjoyed exploring. Perhaps it's in small part because it's very linear. There are hidden pathways and nooks you can go off the beaten path to find, and there are wide open sections, but much of it is very narrow, which gives you a bit more direction when exploring. Instead of, here, have a giant open world, go explore, we get, here's a path through a building or a cave system. Some diverging paths and optional parkour for some rewards if you feel like it, and I appreciate that. I like choice, but too much of it is a bad thing in my opinion. I don't need my handheld, but I do like some guidance. And I think Enfield strikes a nice balance there. The exploration just feels rewarding, and the puzzles you find around are fun, though some of them require electricity to access or complete, and that's going to lead us into our next one. The game basically requires that you run up and down your whole map, planting relay towers and running cables between them, manually. Even if you choose not to get any of the optional treasures, the actual story is even locked behind some of it. And even though this is still building, it's apparently not the building that the developers told us we could just borrow blueprints for, because the only blueprints that exist are for inside your yellow squares at your base. They claimed that if we didn't like the base building aspect, we could just copy and paste someone else's and not worry about it. But there's a lot that falls outside of that. And even the ones that do exist, they're extremely hard to find. There's no browse feature, no search function, no list of blueprints others have shared, no list of default run-of-the-mill basic blueprint setups, like generic amethyst part line, gear line, bomb line. None of these exist. And instead you need to somehow find someone online that has posted their blueprint code, and punch that into the game. The system is just poorly implemented, with not nearly enough quality of life. And to further drive that home, why don't you try to discover what items you can make using a particular machine? Let's take the packaging machine for example. You'd have to place it down, then interact with it, and then hit another icon within that screen, and then you can see the items you can craft with it. And it was never explained well enough why some things can be built wherever, like gun turrets, but other things can't even have 1 pixel hanging outside the yellow box. And increasing the power cap of your base, that was hidden in the skill tree under thermal banks, and wasn't explained well at all. The last thing about the building system, since we were promised that those of us that didn't want to deal with it wouldn't have to, they probably shouldn't have tied it to story progression. The system is unavoidable for anyone that wants to play the game. And if you just can't comprehend the intricacies of engineering style systems, then you're screwed. It's not a matter of being dumb, I'm plenty smart in other areas, but understanding engineering systems is a skill set. You either have a mind for it or you don't. And my particular flavor of neurodivergency just shuts my brain down with crap like that. My son has no problems with it at all, he's been playing too, but that's my point. He loves games like Factorio, Satisfactory, he has a mind for it. It just feels like anyone coming into this game expecting a game, fun exploration, neat puzzles, cool combat, will instead be confronted with whether or not they're even capable of thinking like an engineer. And if they aren't, they literally can't play the game. It excludes a huge chunk of the player base that otherwise would have really enjoyed the game. And had they made good on their promise that anyone not wanting to deal with building would be able to copy and paste someone else's blueprint, then that would have been perfect. But again, that function doesn't exist in the game. They've left it up to each player to somehow get their blueprint code out into the community. And if you aren't tuned into the community, not in their Discord, not following their X or the accounts of those content creators that are playing it, then you're also screwed. Okay, we need another positive. It's getting too doomy for my tastes. And I really am enjoying the game despite the issues I have with it. The characters are all extremely well designed, very well voice acted, and well animated too. Cutscenes and combat animations are all works of art, truly. But the story, without going into spoilers, has been one of the weakest parts of the game. It started off extremely slow, the pacing was like molasses, and it took a long time for it to pick up, to the point where I ended up skipping much of the dialogue and even some cutscenes that I otherwise would have liked to have watched, because they just dragged on so much. The gear system, weapon system, progression system, and even the base building tree were all really good. The base building tree visually was very clear and understandable, especially with the recommended choices. But what each one did was not explained very well. I have many machines that I have no clue the function of. Every YouTuber, without exception, demanded we all stay away from the tutorial system. They trashed it, calling it a waste of time, so I have. And because of that, I have no freaking clue what I'm doing. I have some half-assed lines set up that quite often get clogged up, and the game doesn't tell you why it's clogged, just that it's clogged. Basically, you screwed up somewhere, figure it out, lol. Which is pretty frustrating. And I think that's where I'll end it. I won't be covering Arknights Enfield on the channel. Even if they had accepted me into the CC program, I'm just not smart enough to be good at the game, and therefore couldn't offer you any meaningful or helpful content. But I will continue to play it until something better comes along. I have been enjoying the game, and I think it will do very well with many players, but won't have the widespread appeal that some of its competitors do, due to the steep learning curve. And with that being said, I'm gonna fly. I'll see you in the next one. Bye.